Welcome to another episode of Well-Adjusted Mama. This is a podcast dedicated to educating and empowering women from preconception, pregnancy, birth, and through early motherhood on wellness lifestyle. I'm your host, Dr. Laura Brayton. I'm a maternity pediatric chiropractor as well as mother who has hand-selected experts in natural holistic healthcare specialties to shine light on options and choices during this exciting phase of a woman's life. Today, we focus on the topic of women's sexual health and why it matters. And my special guest is Colette Courtion. She's named one of the Inc. magazine's top 100 female founders of 2020. Courtion is a distinguished and award-winning consumer marketer, inventor with 21 issued patents, and femtech leader who is revolutionizing the $600 billion menopause market with Joylux, the leader in at-home medical devices, personal care products, and digital tools for menopausal women experiencing vaginal and sexual health issues. With over 20 years of cross-functional expertise leading consumer product, retail, and medical device companies, she's known as a category creator in the emerging health and wellness space. Prior to founding Joylux and her other two skincare-related startups, she was a marketing executive with Starbucks responsible for launching and growing the Starbucks card and customer loyalty program into a multi-billion-dollar business. Courtion and her companies have earned numerous accolades, including the AARP Innovations Labs Women's Health Award 2021, Angel Capital Association's Most Innovative Company 2019, Best Product of the Year 2003 for Starbucks Duet Card from Business Week, Top 15 Women of Influence 2009 in Seattle, and Top 40 Under 40 Leaders 2006 in Seattle from the Puget Sound Business Journal. If you want to find out more about Joylux, you can check out their website. And if you want to find out more about the two products that we focus on in this podcast, the NeoHeat and the VFit, check out my website at drlaurabrayton.com and look under devices. Hi, Colette. Welcome to the show. I'm very excited to have you on today.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. So glad to be here.
So today's topic is focusing on women's sexual health and why it matters. Like, why is women's sexual health so important? So let's just start there.
Well, first of all, I always love having this conversation with doctors because you know far more than I do. But as a woman, I can talk about my experiences, and having been in this business of women's sexual health now for almost 10 years, I believe women's sexual health is vital to their overall health and well-being. It's part of who we are, and it's so important that that we embrace it, that it be healthy, that we allow ourselves that opportunity to connect with a partner in an intimate way, that we share what's important to us. But it's part of being a woman, and it's part of being a healthy woman. So I'm all for women experiencing the best sexual health that they can.
Amen to that. And I think, a lot of our listeners are pregnant and new moms. So perhaps they're not quite perimenopausal yet. Although I have to say some of the new moms in my practice are in their early 40s. So, perimenopause isn't too far away.
Right.
And regardless, I think after having kids, women's sexual health definitely changes, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally, all of the things. So, I'm just curious to talk about, women that are going through these hormonal changes during the perinatal phase of their life, and then how that progresses over the next decades.
Well, you're absolutely right. As we know, women with pregnancy, childbirth, and then going into perimenopause and menopause, our hormones are all over the place, right? Sometimes we don't know if we're coming or going. But, at the end of the day, we can't lose sight of the importance of sexual health and remain in keeping that connection with our partner. That's really vital. It's also important to note if you're in a male relationship, they don't experience what we're experiencing, but their hormones are changing. They're like, let's keep going, honey. Let's keep going. So it's really important to have a healthy partner, a healthy relationship, marriage, whatever you're in, that, you be mindful of where they are in their life as well. So, things change, but what we do at Joylux and the technology, and for those of you that don't know, I'm the CEO and founder of Joylux, which is a women's health company focused on innovative solutions for women that are from motherhood to menopause. So we have technologies that really help women get the best out of their vaginal health, their sexual health. And one of the things that we focus on is technology that stimulates the sex glands, the clitoris, the things that are important for helping women feel, get their groove, whatever you want to say it, whether it's
arousal.
Yes, the arousal, the orgasms, our technology really helps with that. And so we, obviously at Joylux encourage women, regardless of where they are, to really make sure they focus on ensuring that they have a healthy sex life.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about the product. So I know the NeoHeat is something that I want all of the women listening that are pregnant and planning a vaginal birth to know about. Can you share what the NeoHeat is?
Yeah, so our company, first, let me just talk a little history about our company. My background was in medical aesthetics. So I was working with all the latest in technologies for anti-aging purposes. So things to help your skin stay young and fresh. And we call that in the industry energy-based technologies. And they come in many forms. You may have heard of lasers, ultrasound, radio frequency, light. All of that is about delivering energy into the tissue to get the tissue to fundamentally reboot itself, to change, to rejuvenate itself. And when I became pregnant, which I was a late mom, I was 41 when I became pregnant, I didn't know what happened to women's bodies. I had not had that conversation with my OBGYN about the changes that we go through. And so when my girlfriend started sharing with me, okay, Colette, be prepared to pee your pants every time you sneeze, or, our sex is not the same, I was like, why not? And when I looked into fundamentally what changes with childbirth and the trauma that occurs from your muscles or your tissues being torn, or the pressure, the weight of carrying a child, and then with perimenopause and menopause and the decline in estrogen, I literally had this aha moment. And I said, well, we're using energy-based technologies for our face to help women rejuvenate and turn back the aging clock here. Can it be done on our vulva and vaginal tissues, our perineum, our vulva, our vaginal tissues? And so I partnered with an OBGYN because I am not a doctor. I am just someone that's very creative and always seeks to find answers to problems. So I partnered with an OBGYN. I partnered with a gentleman, a doctor who focuses on energy-based technologies. And together, the three of us came up with what is now Joylux, which is we're using light-based technologies to improve vaginal health. And so NeoHeat, that's our latest invention that uses red and infrared light technology to help heal your perineum and your vulva tissues from the damage that occurs during vaginal deliveries. So as you may know, I did not know. This was the part that I did not know. But 8 out of 10 women tear during deliveries, and that tearing can lead to long-term damage. It can lead to nerve damage. It can lead to incontinence. It can have an effect on sexual function. So what this light does is, and it's very simple to use, you're putting the NeoHeat in your underwear. And in fact, we even designed a special underwear for it. but you sit there for 10 minutes right after giving birth, because that's when you have the wounds, that's when you have the damage. But this light energy accelerates the healing process in our body. So our body knows it's damaged, and so it's naturally trying to repair itself. But what the light does, it basically excites the cells in our body to naturally do what they're supposed to do, but at a rate that's like 10x what it would do by itself. So we're telling the body, and the analogy I like to use with non-medical professionals is we are like a jump start to your car's battery. So your car has died and it needs to get going. We are going to come there with our cables and jumpstart that battery, give it the juice it needs to then drive away. So we are using light to ignite that healing process. And what we've found is that by doing so, women who are using NeoHeat within 2 weeks are dramatically improved over women who don't use NeoHeat and just have your body go through the natural healing process. Mm-hmm. But long term, why this is better is because we're healing down at a very deep cellular level where we have that nerve damage, where we have that tearing, which we may not be able to see, but it's there. And so that's what light is doing, is really helping at a very deep cellular level. And so long term, and women are going to have less incidences of incontinence and pain with sex and vaginal laxity, those things that occur because of the trauma from childbirth. So that's NeoHeat. It's our newest invention. But where we really started was in perimenopause and menopause, which uses the same technology, but it's an internal device. So women actually put it into the vaginal canal, and it repairs the tissue inside the vagina, which has then a positive impact on, incontinence and vaginal laxity and pain with intercourse. And those are all things that are very important as we're going through menopause.
Right. So, and it's fascinating, I'm perimenopausal and not really symptomatic, so to speak, but I just got my VFit and started using it in the past week. Up to 12 minutes, 3 times a week is recommended, and for 6 weeks, right, to get the optimum benefit. And then, weekly for maintenance. But I think there's something, Mama Self-Care is a big part of this podcast. And there's something to be said where you commit to 12 minutes, 3 times a week for yourself and for your self-care and for a part of your body that nobody sees, right? So it's not like our face that's visible, and I know a lot of women in their 40s that are, investing time and money for their face and kind of neglecting maybe this other part of our body, this intimate part of our body, which is a very important part of our body, you mentioned, because it's intricate to our sexual health. And so I think it's fascinating, certainly if we can be preventive, like let's not wait for the vaginal dryness and the pain with intercourse that certainly could happen for women in their 60s and 70s, right?
Absolutely.
To start doing this work now. But I heard from the rep, Kristen, that there are new clients to VFit who are in their 60s and 70s having all of these symptoms. And there's not really a lot of, support for them. Like one of the pregnant women in my practice, I was telling her about the NeoHeat. And I mentioned the VFit, and I said, well, that's not for, right after giving birth, right? You're not ready to insert that into your birth canal. But she was mentioning her mother, who's aging, right? Her mother's in her 60s and having incontinence issues. And we didn't talk about her sex life. I don't know how much her daughter knows about that, but regardless, the doctor wants to do Botox, right? And this woman hasn't done pelvic PT, which I think is also so important, and how the VFit could complement exercises to strengthen her pelvic floor.
Absolutely. And one of the things, we have so many wonderful success stories of women who have used our product in their 20s because they have vaginal dryness because they're on birth control, or women that are in their 70s and even in their 80s. And one of the things that I think we don't talk about, or actually is not very well known, is that incontinence, which is the loss of urine accidentally when you sneeze or jump up and down if you have stress incontinence, it is not just a pelvic floor muscle issue. It is also a tissue issue, but it's often not a tissue issue until you're older, until you've lost that collagen, elastin, and that blood flow in your tissue. So a young woman, when we talk about how we help her with incontinence, we really focus on do your Kegels, do your pelvic floor therapy, do things to strengthen your muscles. And absolutely 100% we believe in that. But as you age and you're going through menopause and you lose that estrogen, it impacts the blood flow around your urethral sphincter, which then you unfortunately lose control of your sphincter, which is different from perhaps your pelvic floor muscles. They're all intertwined, of course.
Right.
But there is that element. And so what we have found with VFit, when you insert it into your vaginal canal, the light energy that's coming from the device is focused on the vaginal introitus, so the opening of the vaginal canal. But the light, because it's a very powerful red light, is actually going through your vaginal canal into where your urethral canal is and that sphincter, and it's helping build up the tissue around that so you can have actually more control over, the flow of your urine. So that combined with exercises, your pelvic floor, your muscle strength, that's when you have absolutely the best chances of not having to deal with incontinence. So we often tell women, it's not just about your Kegels, do those. In fact, we have in our user guide an exercise you can do with Kegels to really, get the best bang. But also it's about making sure the tissue around your urethral canal is healthy. And so that's what the light does. So the two together are very important. Mm-hmm. I also have a really cute story that is new. I mean, I just heard about it last week, so I have to share it. We had a customer who was 73, somewhere in the 70s. She had been married with a man, her husband, for 40 years, something like that. They hadn't had sex in 20 years, and all of a sudden she got her libido back. But she didn't know where to start. So she started with VFit. And all of a sudden, they're having sex almost every night. We love it. We love hearing these stories because, especially when you haven't had it, I always say, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. So she used VFit as a tool to help her get her vagina healthy so that when she started having intercourse again, it was not painful. It was, she had nice plump tissue. She had nice lubrication. Everything felt really good, but she also got her libido back, and that's amazing. So we love hearing stories, whether it's incontinence or sexual function, of the benefits of what light therapy can do.
Yeah. And then to your point, if a woman is, feeling not interested in sex, but recognizing it's important for her health and important for her marriage, the VFit can also help increase the libido. So she's not just having sex out of obligation, but really from a place of wanting it and enjoying it and orgasming, right? Because you're saying that red light is not just getting to the urethra, but it's also getting to the clitoral tissue. Like, to your point, the light isn't just contained within the vaginal canal. Light can, the tissue is not concrete, right? So it can spread through that whole lower pelvic area and benefiting all that tissue. Have you seen anything about issues with like rectal incontinence and getting to that part of the body?
Yeah. So just real quick before we talk about that. So the one of the benefits of light, and there's been a lot of research about this, is it stimulates your nerves. So it helps, not to get too scientific, because that's certainly not my background, but it helps, strengthen the nerves, gets them working better. And so when you have nerves that are more responsive, when you're dealing with sexual or intimacy and sexual arousal, everything's heightened. So that blood flow, that nerves, everything that the red light is helping do. So when you're actually in the act of intimacy, you will experience heightened sensation. You will experience stronger orgasms because of what that light has done. It's stimulated your nerves. It's brought that blood flow to that tissue. So all of it, again, is heightened, which again leads to better sexual health. Now,
that makes perfect sense.
Rectal health is an interesting one because our device was designed specifically for a woman's vagina. So the size of it, the diameter of it, where we specifically position the lights on the device, because here's something: you don't need to heal the entire vaginal canal. You really only need to focus on the introitus, because that's where you have the nerves, the feelings, the sensation, whether it's with intimacy or with incontinence. That's what's important, is the control and the opening of the vaginal canal. So as it relates to rectal incontinence, in theory, the light would help. Absolutely. In theory, the tissue's the same. Everything works the same. It's just a matter of whether or not our device fits, to put it mildly. Does it work in that area? The NeoHeat is actually one that I would try, because the NeoHeat's a pad, and you could just simply place the pad around the anal tissues, and you're going to get the benefit of that light penetrating into the anal tissues. So that's an area I would start with NeoHeat for that.
But if it's in the vagina, would that also make it through the body to the rectum?
No,
I guess is my question.
That's a little too far. As we know, the urethral tissue and the vaginal tissue are just literally, back to back. So
yes,
it penetrates about 2 to 3 millimeters into the tissue. So it just doesn't quite get to the anal tissue. But we've definitely had people call and ask, and I'm sure someone has tried, although we personally have not studied it. So I couldn't tell you exactly if it worked, but people have asked about it.
Okay, that makes sense. So, what about a woman who is doing bioidentical hormones? And then is also wondering if the VFit would be beneficial to her.
Absolutely, because again, we talk about hormone replacement therapy, whatever version you're doing, it's a godsend, right? I'm on the patch. I love it. It's changed my body for other reasons. Like I sleep finally, because I'm in a full menopause. And so I love my patch. But when we're talking about vaginal health, there's just some things that, hormones can't help you with, like incontinence. Like that is an area where that doesn't help. And so we have many women that we've heard from that are using both at the same time, including me. I VFit, especially when I haven't had intimacy in a while. Maybe I've been traveling. My husband's been traveling. And, things, it can get a little more sensitive if you haven't had it for a while. So I'm always like, gotta get my VFit in, because that helps, increase that blood flow. And like I said earlier, with the nerves, it helps with the clitoral stimulation, the sensation you have with intimacy. So I'm a proponent of do it both. The light doesn't adversely affect the hormones, so you're safe there, and you'll just get even that much more benefit for your sexual health.
It makes a lot of sense. I have a woman who's like, my libido's in the toilet. My she's working with a doctor for her bioidentical hormones, and they're working on her testosterone level. She's on testosterone, her levels still aren't rising. And I'm like, well, I'm thinking as you're working on that, the VFit could still at least help start building that libido, right? Because libido is also not just based off blood hormone levels, right? There's so much that goes into arousal and to wanting to be sexual. So like, we really have to talk about our brain, right? And how our brain is viewing ourselves and our partners and how we're managing our stress, right? We know that when we're under high levels of stress, we have less sexual interest. So that's a big component too. And I think I started to mention this about the commitment of the 12 minutes a day for the 3 times a week. It's really just giving you that moment of like, you don't have to do anything else. You don't have to surf your phone. You lock your door. You know what I mean? And this is just time for mama to just literally have her meditation, right? There's like a meditative quality of like, there's nothing else I have to do right now. I do not have to multitask. I can just literally care for myself and care for my vagina. How many women are like, I care for my vagina on a regular basis, right?
That's so funny. That to me is what is amazing, that we spend so much energy and time focused on our hair and our face and our body and going to the gym and doing all these things, but we ignore our intimate health, which is it's essential to who we are as women. That's like the core, like that's what makes us who we are. So we shouldn't ignore it, because when that's off kilter, it really does affect everything. And one of the things that we see is if your sexual function or your pelvic floor health is not optimal, it has a huge impact on your self-esteem. Your confidence is not there. You're embarrassed. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've heard from women who say, like, I can't even go do yoga anymore because I'm afraid I'm going to do a pose and leak, and then everybody will see, and it's embarrassing, and I don't want to wear the pads. So like that then it becomes a cycle, because then you're not exercising, you're not getting that. So then that has an effect on your mood and your health and your weight. And then like, it just keeps spiraling down. So if we can spend time focused on making sure we're healthy down there, that everything is functioning the way is intended to function, then that lifts us up on all parts of our lives. It's our confidence. It's how we have intimate relations with our partners. It's how we interact with others, our how we exercise. Like, all of it's interrelated. So it's really important that we focus on the health of our intimate area.
It's so important. I mean, I just had a previous podcast guest share a story about a mom with adult daughters, and they used to go out to lunch once a week and do some shopping and kind of have like a beautiful bonding time together. And then all of a sudden the mom was like, oh, I can't join you anymore, and wasn't really sharing about why she wasn't open to leaving the house. And it was because of urinary incontinence. And for her, it was like the, reusable underwear that was just life-changing, just so she could have these types of, continue to have these memories and experiences with her daughters without having the embarrassment of like peeing her pants and, out in public. Right. Yeah. But to your point, even, if it doesn't have to be underwear or pad, but we can have our bodies functioning well so that we can hold the urine in, that's even the next level, because it's not even just about sex. It's really about how we move, how we function, how we connect with friends and family members, and not having a stigma of shame around it as well. And I think older generations, that's really was an issue. I remember my grandmother, literally her uterus was falling out of her vagina, and it was so embarrassing for her. And eventually they just, in her 80s, they just cut it out because it was like, even the device, the pessary to hold it up was just so uncomfortable for her, probably because she hadn't had sex in a long time at this point. My grandfather had passed away. So, these are real health issues. And, I'm so excited that these younger generations are really talking about this and talking to their girlfriends about it. Like hey, I see a pelvic PT and, like this is what's possible. Like, just sharing that it's common for women to, pee themselves when they cough and sneeze after giving birth, but it's not normal. The mommy pooch is not normal. There's things that we can do that are non-invasive and non-surgical to heal our bodies and continue to heal despite the aging process, despite gravity, despite hormonal changes, despite, the multiple pregnancies and births, like whatever it is, it's not just, we're not destined to essentially sacrifice our bodies because we choose to become moms.
Exactly. No, I love hearing these stories. I was just with a group of women and look, I talk about vaginas and sex every single day. Like, why wouldn't you?
Why not?
I sat down with a group of women. I didn't know these women. They were all about my age. They were in their early 50s. But we started talking about, what happens down there and, do you wax? Do you shave? What do you do with this? And it was so just, first of all, we bonded. We didn't know each other, and all of a sudden we're bonding because we're talking about our vaginas. But it was just so freeing. We just felt so connected like a sisterhood. And I'm thrilled to see that the younger generation have less taboo around this topic. And I think it's starting with period care.
Yes.
And the
first period, right?
Yeah, the innovation that's happened around period care. I remember periods were something we didn't talk about when I was going through that. And I had definitely in my youth times when I couldn't leave the house because of the pain or the how bad that was. And here these young ladies are embracing it, and they're talking about it, and there's cool products to help it. And even the guys are talking about it. So by the time they get to my age and they've gone through perimenopause and menopause, hopefully this is just going to be, another thing that they share, and hopefully they won't have the same level of issues that, our generation and our mothers and grandmothers have had to deal with. One
Correct.
of the things I'm really encouraged by, and it's not just the younger people, is we're starting to see celebrities vocally talk about the change in their body. I don't know if you've seen, but Halle Berry has been one that's been very vocal in the last 6 months about her change with menopause and how she suffered from vaginal dryness and the impact it had on her relationship with her partner that she absolutely loves and adores. And she's like saying, like, ladies, like, let's embrace it. Let's talk about it. Let's destigmatize it, because this is just part of being a woman and part of aging. And so this should not be taboo.
Correct. There's no stigma. Yeah. I agree. I felt very shameful when I had my first period, and I'm so happy that there's now celebrations for that first menses, and that, moms are raising their daughters to not be ashamed of being a woman and what's these normal stages of womanhood, right? From the first period all the way to the last. And then as the more we talk about it, when there are symptoms, then it's also like, it's not just accepted that I have to live with this because this is where I'm at. Like I'm, 16, having heavy cramps, so I just have to live with it or take the birth control pill. Those are the only two options. It's like, no, there are other options available to have healthy, normal periods. Even though you're, way away from trying to get pregnant, we recognize that we can start regulating, what a normal menstrual cycle looks like. And, pain and heavy cramps are not part of that, right? So exactly. It's so important. And it's all about having these conversations with other women, recognizing that there's a lot of common symptoms, and even despite them being common, that they can be supported and addressed. And, it just takes some extra work, right? Like we have to work on ourselves with the aging process and continue to, that's what longevity is, right? It requires that. So for the women that you're working with that are menopausal and they've gone through their regular 6-week protocol, are they still typically, once a week? Or, what happens if you don't use your VFit for several months?
Exactly. So I always tell women, just like anything we do in life, when we're on a program to help improve our health, once we get off of it, our bodies are going to go back to where it was. So if you're using Botox and you stop using Botox, guess what, ladies? The wrinkles come back. If you go to the gym and you work out and you look great and you lost that weight you wanted to, if you just stop, guess what? The weight's going to come back and you're going to. So same thing with VFit and the aging process. Our body is continuously aging. So what we recommend is when you go through the initial protocol, we want everybody to start off at 6 minutes to get accustomed to the light and the heat that's generated from the device. But then you go from 6 to 8 to 10, and then as high as 12 minutes. And you do that every other day for the first 6 weeks. And that's where, clinically speaking, 90% plus of women will see improvement in one or more of the areas where they have concerns, whether it's pelvic floor strength or sexual function or pain with intercourse. All of that will improve. Some women have all the issues. Some women only have one of the 3 primary issues, vaginal dryness being another one. So what happens, though, is we recommend you stick on a protocol of once a week to maintain the results. Committing to 10 minutes once a week should not be a problem for most, but I get it. We're busy women, me included. So what then I find is that as I'm off my program, I'm not on a maintenance, we'll start to feel something change. And that's when I'm like, okay, now I need to do VFit again. And for many women, what we see is what we call a repeat program where they don't have to do it for the full 6 weeks, but maybe just 2 or 3 weeks every other day. And then their body gets back to kind of where it was after the initial protocol. Now, we have an app that connects to the device that helps women track all this. So you don't have to remember, oh gosh, when was the last time I did my VFit? It will give you reminders. It has a calendar. It will tell you when to do it. I will say about 20% of the women stay with it on a regular basis. So that's really encouraging. So about 20% are religious about their maintenance program. So they're doing it every week per the program. But then, the rest of us, we get busy and then we just retreat when it's necessary.
Got it. Yeah. And I think the app is fabulous because it does have a lot of information. You can control the VFit from the app instead of from the actual device if you need to make changes. And there's that accountability, right?
And the thing about the app that we designed, which is really helpful, is every single day we provide women with a new tidbit of health information that is beyond just vaginal health. We talk about diet, exercise, brain fog, hot flashes, other things that women may be going through the perimenopause to menopause phase. So it's like having a little health, we call it the OBGYN in your pocket, because it's really relevant and useful information for women and their body, and it's free. So it's like a magazine subscription without paying for the magazine. Super helpful content. It's all derived and comes through the lens of our doctor, Dr. Sarah De La Torre, our Chief Medical Officer, our OBGYN. So super helpful. It also has this very cool tracking where you can track your symptoms on what's bothering you. And then it provides you insights on how you can improve that. And it's beyond vaginal health. So it could be you're suffering from hot flashes or brain fog, and which is something I happen to have a lot of brain fog these days. But it just provides you with like what's going on in your life that's maybe triggering these symptoms. And so it provides you with some nice insight, and that's super helpful. And all of this is free.
I have one last question. So for, let's say a woman is, 30s, late 30s, early 40s, and has given birth, and now she's 6 weeks, has been cleared by her birth provider to do pelvic PT workout. Could she start using the VFit potentially?
Absolutely. I mean, the only thing stopping her from using VFit is whether or not she has any discomfort, because you are inserting it into your vagina. But in theory,
at 6 weeks, the
light will help all of that. So that's why we have NeoHeat, because it's an external device.
Yes.
So if you start on NeoHeat right away, you're going to get to the point where you could actually have penetrative intercourse or penetrative things sooner than 6 weeks because of the healing and that we've done with the NeoHeat. But yes, once you're cleared from your doctor, go for it. And as long as it doesn't cause discomfort to insert, go for it, because it will only help your body heal itself better. It's
recover really from that birth. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm thinking, because, like I had skid marks in my vaginal canal from my birth. I didn't have tearing per se, but so I was just thinking like that would be helpful for healing that internal tissue. And it does have a photonic gel that is recommended to be used with it. So that helps with insertion.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we designed a gel that is to be used in conjunction with the VFit that helps with the insertion of the device to make it a little more comfortable. But it's also a very hydrating gel. It actually has properties that enhance the penetration of light energy. So they're almost reflective properties. So it makes the light more powerful, although it is a very powerful LED device. In fact, the strongest home use LED device on the market, even when we compare it to other LED red light devices. So if you've ever used one on your face or on your body for different indications, our device is the strongest on the market. We put a lot of R&D into optimizing the light to make it work really, really effectively. Use with the gel. The gel helps make it perform even better. It's also a fantastic gel, has hyaluronic acid in it, which is an ingredient that naturally helps water molecules bind. So then you feel more moisture and lubrication, which is really lovely.
I love that. Well, Colette, any last thoughts you want to share with the audience?
Oh, well, I mean, I'm so thankful to people like you that are talking, having these podcasts, talking to women about their intimate health. As I said at the opening of this hour, intimate health is vital to a woman's overall health and well-being. So don't be ashamed by it. Don't be embarrassed by it. Embrace it. It will make you a more confident, happy woman, and that impacts all aspects of your life, from your partners to your relationships with your friends, your children. You are going to be a happier woman. And when women thrive and are happy, the world thrives.
I 100% agree. Well, Colette, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate it. Have a nice day.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode with Colette. She is a powerhouse when it comes to women's empowerment and recognizing there's so many ways that we can support a healthy natural aging process and help our bodies heal and recover using this really amazing modern tech that's available to us now, including the red light and infrared energy that is part of the Joylux products. If you want to find out more about the Neo Heat, which is specifically for post-vaginal healing of the vulvar region, and as well as the VFit, which is for midlife women having vaginal dryness, incontinence, and sexual health issues, then you can find both products on my website at drlaurabrayton.com/devices. And we're happy to get those shipped out to you. They have been a game changer for the women in my practice who have experienced them, as well as for myself who loves my VFit. All right, check it out.